Nice. Okay, so let's move ahead. So another
Yeah.
topic which I'm going to talk about today is DevTool. So this is again very good features provided by the Spring Boot, and we will be seeing that what this DevTool mean is and what is this library basically doing. Idea is to make development life easy and also avoid doing the lots of steps which is actually mandatory but really time consuming process. So think about the scenario like this is my Java program, and while working on any project or while solving any business problem, writing any algorithm, we have to do lots of fail and trial kinds of approach. So that time, the typical way is whenever you are doing any changes in your Java program, you have to compile it, you have to build it, you have to generate a var, again go to Tomcat, stop the running Tomcat instance, put this var into the Tomcat web apps folder, again restart the Tomcat, and then you will see your changes. And again, you found that, oh my god, something I have missed. Again, the way is same, like you have to do the same steps again and again. So if you look at this, this is completely taking a lots of time, which you can actually use in your code development, core business logic, rather than you are doing lots of things to doing some, changes to be reflected and fail and trial approach or keep on doing. So idea is there should be some mechanism where the moment I'm changing anything into my Java file, ideally if you're changing in JSP or if you're changing into the servlet kinds of things, now this data Tomcat is having the capability to automatically restart. So similar kinds of approach we are looking into the Spring Boot also. It's not only the servlet, it's not only the JSP, it's not only the HTML. In fact, we are looking any changes I'm doing across the any file of my Spring Boot application, then it should be reflecting into our uh, you know running application. It could be application or properties file also. So this is the beauty of DevTools. So idea is DevTools has come up with the idea where whenever any changes are happening, then as a developer you don't need to bother about again how to compile, how to take these changes, and how to restart the Tomcat, all these things. Rather than Spring Boot Dev Tools, which is one of the library or say dependency, which is helping you to achieve that. This switch came along with the Spring 1.3 versions, and from that time it is becomes one of the mandatory kinds of things for each developer. Not mandatory, I can say it's really needful plugins. Also, this is especially for development. So dev tools stands for development tools. The full form of this is development tools. And since you have a good experience in Java side, the idea behind this, how it is working is there is one design pattern called observer design pattern. You must have heard about it. So dev tool is internally using the observer design patterns where it is keep on looking your root project structure. If any changes are happening, then automatically the notification is coming to the Tomcat server, and based upon that, Tomcat is restarting or taking the another set of changes. So to achieve this, you don't need to do anything other than adding one dependency. That's all. So when you put this particular dependency in your pom.xml file, then automatically a Spring Boot dev tools will be enabled. And after that, if you will be making any changes in your Java files or in your properties file or any files which belongs to your project structure, it is automatically going to look at that changes and deploying the application, restarting the application, everything it's going to do. So that's really awesome. Also, remember the scope of this has been given to a runtime. It means uh, we have talked about test, we have talked about lots of other things are there, compile, implementation. Similarly, we have a runtime. So this guy is always doing the job while running your application. It's not like compilation time or something like testing time. While your application is running, that time this tool is going to do their job. Now, one more important point I forgot yesterday to discuss is, as you know that Spring Boot is internally using the Spring Core module, like that is IOC and all. And when we talk about IOC, to deal with the any classes, you have to create a bean of that class. So when you say bean creation is ideally taken care by the user, where you are actually defining your bean for your controller, your service, your DAO, your repository, or other utility class, whatever you have. But what Spring Boot is doing, it is going to actually
I lost you.
uh, yeah, I was on mute for timing.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So what I was saying that yes, so lots of bean is required, and those beans again, Spring Boot is smart enough to read it from your class path. So if you look at the already being created for your application, there is one plugin provided by the Spring Boot called Actuator. We will be talking about this very soon after this topic. So Spring Boot is also creating a lots of bean which is actually required for your application by reading your class path itself. So there is no need to define a lots of additional bin until or unless it is very specific to your application. Ra- Else, if it is a part of your jar file, then whatever mandatory beans have to be there for your application, it is going to be created automatically. So this is again a beautiful features provided by the Spring Boot. So here also by adding a dev tool itself, everything is going to be done. It means the moment you are adding into their class path or it is a part of your dependency management, automatically the changes and the related beans of this dev tools is going to be created. And that is the reason you don't need to do any set of configuration to achieve that. So with that, let me show you the properties file. You will be not noticing anything. There is some set of mechanism by which you can enable and disable the dev tools live reload server. We'll talk about it in some time, but idea is on the top of your Tomcat server, dev tool is going to create one more what I can say server that is kind of live reload server. So this server is keep on monitoring the changes of your application and notifying to the Tomcat. So in pom.xml file, if I show you, then we have same Spring Boot, Bib, and also the dev tools. Okay, so this is going to be only in your dependency, and after that, if you look at our controller, it is having just a hello world kinds of things. It is just sending you the messages whatever you have composed here, and application wise it is pretty simple what you have seen in the last class, hello world programming. So if I run this application now, you will be able to see the simple messages which is coming to your application by hitting the port number which we have given here is 8091 this time. So your application has started running. But if you look at this application now, it is also having one special server. uh, where is that? Mhm.
I think we have set to false, right?
You're right. This is because of this. Mhm. Yep. So look at this. Live reroll server is running on different port. The port for this is 3PAP729. So this is the magic happening. Now, if I hit my browser, localhost 8091, then you can see I'm getting the messages hello from dev to test. Now go to the controller and try changing anything inside your application. So this time I'm gonna change it to again test. And the moment I will save it, you will be able to notice the changes are going to be reflected automatically and it is going to be deployed there. So the only thing, if you do refresh here, you will be able to see the latest message. Yeah. Not only that, if you want to change anything related to your application or properties, If you want to change it to a port itself, if you change the port, changes will be automatically reflecting. But this time your port itself has changed, so you have to change this port to 92, something like this. Yes, and it is responding. So this tool is a small concept but very much useful, and you also have a control even though you have a dev tools enabled in your application. And if you want this should not work, because you remember saying that Spring Boot is coming with all plugins like a plugin and plug out kinds of things. So if you need it, you do it. If you don't need, you have a better control over there. So if you make it false, we have noticed that the dev tool is going to be disabled, and you don't need to actually think about that. But yes, even though you have a dependency added, but you want to have a better control over there, you use this property to have enable and disable of your dev tool features.
Yeah.
So we need to explore that. Right now I don't think so these features there in the dev tools, because whatever I studied about dev tools, that's all I know about this. Properties, automatic restart versus reload. You have some better control over there, see, you have control like excluding what are the files you don't want to be reloaded, what are the files you want to be especially reload. So anything I start with public, so these are the other option I can see available. um, this is, we have already talked about it. There is some set of trigger files also they have, where you can give some set of regex and start using that also. So see, it's always like a requirement. So whenever you have the requirement, I told you one requirement. This requirement came. Now you can start exploring that is this something we can achieve with the help of dev tools or
Right.
not. But
Okay.
there's a lot of things there. Idea is here to make you aware that what are the, I mean, concept behind the Spring Boot application, which is really useful. And further, as you have experienced, guys, you can easily explore that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck anywhere, I'm always there to help you out. In fact, after close completion of this course, also, if you found somewhere you need my help, you are always welcome. Okay, just drop me a mail or text or anything. We can talk about it. I will reply by a mail if that comes within my range, or if it is required, we can have again weekend connection like Zoom connection to understand something. You know.
Yeah.
So this is all about dev tools. Let's talk about the another beautiful features of Spring Boot called profiling. Do you know what profile? What is profile?
No.
Okay, then you should know this. Okay, so usually whenever you are dealing with the any application in a real time, you might be having many environment. One is for your dev environment, one is a QA environment, one is a staging environment, one is a UAT environment, one is a production environment. So these are the different environments, and each environment is having their own set of configuration. They also have their own set of users. The person who is having access of QA might not having the access of production. So these are the things it's all about the configuration. And in initial days, you have to do this by doing lots of uh, manipulation of your configurations, and also using some third external database and lots of things like that. But a Spring Boot come up with it's not a Spring Boot. In fact, it is a part of a Spring Code now. It's the IOC concept basically. So they have come up with the idea of profiling. Under profiling, we're saying that what are the environment your application have to be there, and for each environment you are going to maintain the some set of configurations. Now idea is do not override the configuration, rather than keep maintaining those configurations for your application. in typical scenario, remember in the Java application, you have some properties file, and those properties file is going to be updated for QA differently, for production differently. So same properties file you are going to maintain for different environment. But what Spring Boot profiling is saying that, hold on, don't do that. Instead, why don't you have a different set of configurations for different department, which you have to just do plugin and plug out config things. So you really don't need to do overriding of your configuration. So now how we can achieve that? For that purpose, first things you have to define how many environment you have. So let's say I have a development environment, we have a test environment, we have a staging environment, we have a production environment. So each environment is having their own set of configurations, own set of database connection, own set of users, lots of dependency is there on your environment. So look at this simple example. So this message is there where I'm saying that I'm from dev environment. Some application also want to tell you that, indicate me which instance it is running. So I'm working in one of the application there. User wants, if it is a dev environment, then in the corner here where the icon of Eclipse you are able to see, they wants to print the environment name. Is this a dev environment? Is it a QA environment? Is it a production environment? So that the user will be aware on that. So think about that things. It is changing for each environment. Also, the messages are going to be changed. You are in the some set of messages you have in your application for environment specific. So there you can achieve that also. So what I'm doing, we have one root application or properties. Remember, so in application.properties, every time the Spring Boot is loading this application or properties first, and then after it is start checking that is there any active profile has been set by the users. So look at this configuration. This is the particular configuration by which you are saying the Spring Boot, hey, this is my dev environment, this is my production environment. And after that, this guy is going to load only that properties file for that particular environment. It is ignoring the rest of the application dot properties configuration and also the different environment configuration. But let's say this particular key, what will be when this application is running, this guy will be loading this particular production properties. This production properties is looking for this key. This again a beautiful feature is to know. I have struggled a lot like how to get the one properties file value into another properties file value. So this is the way you can achieve it. Dollar angular braces open and close braces. So what I'm doing, I'm looking for this properties. So Spring Boot will be start looking this properties into the same properties file. If it is not found, then it is going to the root application or properties file. So do we need to maintain the application or properties file? Yes, you have to maintain it. And in fact, it is required when you have some set of common configuration that is not dependent on your environment. For example, this particular profiles. So this profile is sitting into my application or properties file, and I'm reusing this into different environment. So for that purpose, the syntax is something like this. So what I will do, I will be changing this to a dev. It's not like that you have your dev production test. This is the only naming convention. You have a abc dot properties file. No problem. You just go and change this to abc. You also have noticed or not, if I go to the dev tools, so whenever a Spring is starting up, it is looking for the profile. So look at this log. It is saying no active profile has been set, falling back to the default. And when it's saying default, it means your application.properties file is the one that is going to be entertained for the external configuration. No? So this is the beauty. Now, the moment you are sitting here, active profile equal to dev, then while running this application, you will be able to notice the properties file or a Spring will be telling you that you have been set the active profile dev. So I'm loading this particular environment. So without any delay, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to run this. So after running this, it will be coming to the controller where I'm reading the value of properties file here. So if you are aware of the Spring IOC concept, then you can understand it. For reading the properties file in a Spring Boot becomes very easy. If you are coming from the JDBC background or pure Java background, you need to create a properties class, then you have to use a file reader object to read the properties file, and then you have a get property method or properties class to read the key values and all. But here things are changed. If you want to directly read the value, look at this welcome message. So this welcome message is coming from app.messages. Now this app.messages is common across the different environment, but only the value is going to be changed. Look at this key. So app.messages. If you want to read this value directly into your Java program, pretty simple. You just to add the rate of value annotation and put the key into dollar open braces open and close braces. It is a responsibility of Spring Boot to read the value, and after that it is going to put into this string. Another beauty is there, it is having a intelligence to figure it out what is the data type you have provided here. So I have intentionally given this JSON object. The reason is if it found this particular key is going to be a part of JSON object, the value which is coming is a JSON object, then what will be? It is automatically going to cast that object into this JSON object. You don't need to do explicit downcasting kinds of things, which is a typical core Java concepts. It is automatically going to bind that result to this JSON object. This is a really awesome features. No further configuration, no properties class required, no file reader required. All things are happening internally behind the scene of Spring Boot. But yes, at the end you are going to get the value like this. So I was just exploring one of the library called JSON Path for one of my business need in my projects. So I have used this JSON part, but ignore that part. I will tell you that what exactly it is. But what I'm doing here, profile controller is printing the welcome message, and same messages I'm returning to the UI. This message is going to be vary from one environment to another environment. Let me check, do we have the dev tools enabled or not? Yes, we have dev tools. So that's pretty simple. Let's run this application now.
Yeah, I have a question here.
Yeah, please.
So in application.properties, you are setting the profile which we have, which it has to load, right?
Right.
So when we are giving here dev, how the system will know that it should load application dev dot properties only?
Yeah, so application naming convention is same. It is just checking this middle one. So this is the
Okay.
yeah, this is the naming convention or syntax I can see. You have to give for your additional properties file. So the only thing, if it is a capital, you have to give capital. If it is a small, you have to give a small. So if
And
I give,
hyphen should.
yeah, after hyphen, whatever name you are giving, that is going to be your profile name.
Okay. So every time we move from dev to QA and QA to stage and
Hmm.
from there to product, we have to change the application dot properties.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Or maybe once it is already deployed in each environment, from there will not change these properties files. Application dot properties might not be. It is not required to change this file, right?
There is a way.
So
There is a way where you can do it. There's a lots of concept behind this. But high level, when you are starting your particular application into a particular environment, you have to tell the Spring which profile is active for this environment. So it's not only the application or properties file. I will also show you how you can pass this value while starting your jar. Usually in the cloud, you are going to start a jar, right? So while starting your jar, you can pass this value, which is going to be override. I will show you that. But yes, while running your application, if you want to change something in this, you have to change. There is no other way until unless you are using the Spring config server. So there is a concept in microservices called a Spring config server, which is having the intelligence of externalizing your configuration. So the moment any changes is happening in the Git repository, this guy is going to automatically pick up those changes, and that is going to give the lots of, what I can say, zero downstream and also 24 into 7 kinds of features. No, not your application is going to actually shut down for a single milliseconds.
Okay.
You got it right?
Yeah, what is that concept called?
A Spring config server.
Oh,
Have you heard about it?
no.
Don't worry. I'm preparing that one sample example under this course. So this is the one. It is coming to the Spring Clouds plugins. There's some set of configuration you have to do, client, server, all these things. So I will be talking about it in upcoming videos.
Okay.
Okay. So for a time being, right now, you want that environment is specific. So for example, let's say it's a dev, it is a production, it is a test. You might be having some set of database also. So database configuration also you can put for this environment is specific. Right now, profile.application, I'm running here and see what's happening. I'm not given any port. This is failing, you know why? Because one of my JSON object might be not having a proper syntax. Okay, so my application is running and currently the active profile has been set to dev. So what we need to do is we have to hit this URL to get this. What is the URL? It's a welcome. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit welcome. Can you see that? We are getting a message from dev environment. So this properties file, this content is available only in the dev properties file, which is saying a specific to dev environment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to in the application or properties file and changing this to a QA, a small QA. There is no
We don't.
QA, it's a test. Yes. So I change to test and go here and refresh the page. It is in test. Similarly, if you want, you can change to a production, right? So if I change to production, then this is going to be a production environment, be allowed. So this is the again another beautiful features for a Spring Boot application. Now your question was, do we need to change this application or properties file before deploying into any environment? Idea is not. Actually, you can pass this value while starting your applications. So if you look
Before I
at
enter
this,
that, I have one question. Can you
hmm,
go to the profiles, profile controller?
hmm,
So here we have written get mapping, right?
right,
Of get mapping. Is it different from the previous examples which we have seen? I
okay,
thought we
yeah, good
thing, no?
notice. Yeah, so I was about to come on that when I will be talking about the REST API. So get mapping is again new set of annotation added by the Spring people. Last class we have noticed the request mapping. Now they have come up with the So what exactly in the request mapping is there? If you go to the request mapping kinds of configuration, there you have something called method. You have to give the method type equal to post is there, or put is there, or delete is there. By default, it is get. So idea was to not make this request mapping complex. Do not write lots of things related to your method type. Rather than they have come up with a specific method for each REST kinds of methods. So here, whatever you have noticed here, it is a get mapping. Similarly, for post, you have a two option. Either you can go with the request mapping method type equal to post, or you can directly use the post mapping. No, similarly, we have a delete mapping, we have a put mapping for different REST kinds of methods. So this is the new features I have used, but it is exactly equivalent to the request mapping with method type equal to get. Here you don't need to give a method type because it is already indicating I'm a get mapping call. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the profile control, profiles application dot Java, if you can go there once.
Hmm.
Okay, this is okay. Okay, got it.
Got it?
And but actually, for even profile controller also, with I thought we'll need REST controller. I may have this is another API. Okay, got it.
You got it right. Okay, so this is how the profiling is working. Now idea is like how we can pass this to a command line. So I have cleaned it. I haven't cleaned, so delete these all directories. Why it is not deleting? Surprise. Oh, now it has deleted. Okay, now what I'm going to do is Maven install. And then after Maven build, packaging is jar, it should generate a jar. Why it is not generating? I don't know, jar is a valid command of Maven or not. Nope. It should generate jar while doing Maven install itself.
Looks like it is throwing an error.
No, it's running. It is running. But I'm not sure this guy is picking the value from some another reference. Profile application. Profile applications. Okay, I will be checking it out. But one more thing you just need to notice is one way is that you are going to do some set of configuration here. But let's say you have another way where you want to create a bean specific to your environment. Yeah, so there is a one another annotation called at the rate of profile also. So let's say this bean you want to create for environment called development. So this is the way you can do. So currently, if you notice, I have the active profile as a production. So it means while starting this application, the DB configuration is going for production. You will see the bean only created for production. Look at this. So it's saying DB connection to RDS production high performance instance. So look at this DB configuration. You have some set of beans, which is dev, test, and production. But for production, I have given a different messages, which is saying high performance instances. So the only bean created for this particular data source. So there is at the rate of profile also, but another problem why this guy is not generating the jar. Surprise. Let me take a help of Spring Boot jar is not creating Maven. You are missing the Maven property start class. This must contain your main class that calls this. Is it so? I don't think so. That is required.
I think for jars, main method executable jar, they need a main method, right, to say where it should start.
What do
I
you saying?
think that for executable jars, it need a main method, right,
In
to
method.
tell them to tell it where it should start the execution. Now that we are in this application, we are directly right clicking on the main method and
Hmm.
executing. So for jar, we need to tell to where it starts. So I think that is correct. We have to add this tag to say where it is starting.
Okay, but I think have you noticed that the jar was created initially? So without doing
Yeah.
anything, it was creating for my application. And where
Oh,
this is go? This would be a part of my project.
I think this should be part of the project.
Let's give a try. And mine one is, hold on, I'm in the right location. No. Mhm.
Spring Boot profiles.
I'm trying to see is there. some application which already having the jars created. This is again a var. var. Okay, so this is our pom.xml file, and under project packaging we have already given this is going to be a jar, but let's try giving this property and see what's happening. No, so our class name is com.nick.profiles dot profiles application. Mhm. This is not a valid property for this. So what this guys did, deleting the target, and whether it has deleted target, answer is no. Some set of so if I delete this, okay, this is coming automatically because compilation is auto build.
Under plugin tag also configuration executable true.
What are you saying?
Under plugin tag, yeah, here we have to add under the plugin there should be another tag for configuration, and inside that executable true.
Okay, under plugin.
Yeah, under plugin below artifact ID there should be configuration tag.
Under this, right? Plugins.
No, inside the plugin. Yeah,
Okay.
there's a plugin configuration,
Hmm.
and inside that configuration executable.
It's a direct value or it's a
No, no
tag?
tag. Executable boolean true. Value is true. True. Yeah.
Do you see it will work? Let's try.
Unable to find remote configuration.
Okay, why don't we figure it out offline rather than, you know. So I will let you know next class why it is not generating. Yeah, and I will also tell you what was the configuration I have added. So let's not have that all these things. Packaging is jar, that is the default one, and so you don't need to do any additional things on the top of whatever application has been downloaded from Spring IO. The moment you are saying it is a jar, then it should come automatically. This is what the expectation is. Look at this. So yesterday we have downloaded this application, and if I go Maven clean, let me delete this jar and see what's See, it's automatically. And now if I say run as maven install, then expectation is the jar have to be created automatically. Eh? Default jar, building jar, target folder, but where is the jar?
Just refresh the folder. Sometimes it will not be there.
You are right. That is the mistake we were doing from that time. Now I come to know. It might be that. Here also the jar has been created. We were not refreshing it. Let me install
No,
it.
here it do not generate the jar. No, it throws some error.
You need to configure. Error. Where is the error? It is saying, well, test it is failing. This is the application we were running, right? Not this. Yeah, this is the one we were running from that time.
Mm.
So this is running or not? We have changed some configuration. I don't think so. Or yes. We have not changed anything here. Then why it is suddenly started saying that you have a problem? No. Hold on, huh? Let me figure it out. Tawatira Nakra. New commit modified content. Something we have messed up. In fact, I have messed up. This was running perfectly, but now it is creating some problem. It means
Maybe you can go to that project and do git checkout hyphen f. It will revert to the original version in the git.
that we can do. CD profiles demo. This is the project name. Yes. Here we have modified something in the pom.xml. Git reset. Only thing we have to do this. The branch is ahead of origin master by 3 commits. Why it is so?
It sometimes it will not refresh here. Just click on refresh of the project.
Okay, so this is done. Now I'm going to do run as Maven install building jar created something. There is some problem, and this problem is saying having the problem while running your test cases. Yay, we got it. So nothing additional configuration is required in pom.xml file. It's just a matter of. So what I was saying that if you want to override this profiling without changing into the properties file, then you have to use the command line and open it. It's already opened. Here we are. CMD Java -D and whatever your configuration is there. So right now we are looking to override which configuration. It is a Spring active profile 20 equal to, we are giving as a div, and then
Space between -d and Spring Dot.
jar. Sorry,
Java -d space Spring Dot profiles active.
Java -d. You're saying a space is required after
I
-d?
no.
I don't think so. A space is not required. Profiles. Okay, so if you look at now, it is coming DB connection from dev2 and also the active profile. Where are you? It is definitely the somewhere it's saying active profile dev. I'm looking that log, but instead of that, what is my port number? Port number is 8080 itself. So let's come to this port and hit this. It's supposed to give dev. Somewhere I've locked this. Can you see that? It is coming. So in production, in a real time, when you are deploying this, it is going to be as a part of jar. And while running your jar, you can pass this command, whatever I have did right now.
So it automatically sets the parameter and runs the jar also.
Yes. So if you pass any commands, this is called as a VM arguments. So when you pass this, the priority is going for first to this command line. And from there, it is overriding your existing application configuration, which is sitting into the application of properties. So
Okay. So
flow is
over in the sense that session is only available until this command window is there, or it completely overrides in the file also.
no, that will not override. It will change. You know, when you are passing like this, Spring is thinking to give a priority of this configuration, but it will not change there. That intelligence is not there. If you open that file, it is still there, the production, whatever we have written. It is just
Okay.
saying that whatever configuration you found for this key, ignore that since user has passed by the command line. This is what the meaning of this. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. By command line, you can use this. Okay. So this is the one you when you talk about this configuration. This is called internal configuration when you are passing anything into your application or properties file. This is known as external configuration, but not 100%. It is also not taking or changing in real time. When I say real time, after running this application, if I want to change again to active production, do you see it is possible? No. You have to shut down your application and again run the jar file with the active profile equal to production or whatever you want. But the configuration came on the next level, next generation, where your application is running and we will be modifying this application or properties from a Git file. The moment I will commit it, it is going to pick up the latest changes and your application is going to start working without making this application down. And that will be coming again with the help of observer design pattern. And we are using the Spring config server. I will be talking about it in upcoming session. Got it? Hello, Hemant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So any
Can you
hmm,
more show me the process on loading the DB connections of, based on the profile we are setting?
you want to mhm.
We can discuss that later. I'm just trying to understand how we load these DB connections profile at the rate of profile and at the rate of bean tags.
Right. You didn't understand this?
No.
Okay. So I'm telling you, you have some set of bean which you want to create a specific to environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a 3 bean created here. You can see that. Say all are data source, all are database related only. So this bean is going to create some set of database. It's a dummy code to make you sure that what kind of DB code should go here. So let's say you have a data source, their IP address, their URL, their username, their password, varying from one database to other database. So these are the information you need to have a class, your username and password for creating any data source. What you have to do, you have to feed these all properties in your all properties file. The value of driver class URL username is going to be changed in every production, every environment. It might be that here you are using some different database, production is having their own database. So what I want, this bean, which is a data source bean, should be created only one, but the value is according to the environment details which we're gonna provide under the profiling concept. So how can we do that? So there is a restrictions. If you not put this dev, if you not put this profile annotation in any of this bean, what this guy will do, it will create by default 3 bean of your application. And it could be that it is failing because in development you are using H2 and your active profile is test. So this guy is trying to create a bean for H2. H2 instance are not available. So your application will be stop failing. So idea is we also want to manage the bean creation based upon the profile. I'm saying, hey, this bean have to be created once active profile is dev. This bean have to be created only when profile is test. And this bean have to be created when profile is production. So there is no chance if you pass active profile dev, then the test and production is going to be created. This bean is not going to be created because this annotation itself is saying whatever bean is specified here, this is specific to that particular environment. Understood?
Okay. So how are we going to invoke this method then? Test database connection. How is this method invoked?
It is the method of bean creation. You remember in the IOC I told you how to create a bean. So in real time, let's say this guy is going to be data source.
So when we say something at the rate of bean, that will be automatically initialized during the startup only.
Exactly. That is the idea. In the IOC I told you, right? There is a two way to create your bean. One is by XML file, and another one is at the rate of bean. So if you remember my IOC example, which I have shown you,
Yeah. In IOC, we have seen at the rate of bean for class, no? So that's why I'm
this is
confused.
also a class, right? What is this?
Oh, no, here we are adding bean to a method, right?
No, 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 no. It is at the end class. What is the return type of this method?
String
And string is a
class. Okay.
yes. And that is the reason I'm creating an object. A string object can be created by two way, right? Using new keyword and by using a string literal also. So if you're confused, then let me do one thing. Other class, it should be a model. Let's say model package. And here I'm gonna create a class called person. Okay, having some set of properties, or let it be an empty class. You just want to see how bean have to be created. Instead of person a string, or instead of messing up this, let me copy this. This is going to be a person. Method name you can give anything, that's not a problem. And return new person. Okay, and here I'm writing some sort of text like I am only for dev. Okay, so one second, huh?
Mhm.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm saying that now this particular bean, which is actually a person bean, I want to be created only for dev. That's what you were confused, right? Okay, how this is going to be. So let me change it to a dev and run this application. Look at this. I'm only for dev. Now what we will do, I will be clearing this, changing the active profile. Oh, one second, huh? तो अब हम क्या करेंगे, we'll coming to the application dot properties and changing it to a production. You will be able to notice the value which you have been expected. I'm only for dev, it's not came. It means what? This person class object which we have created, it is specific to the dev environment. Similarly, you have a data source created for that. Similarly, you have some set of classes or some set of bean which is specific to that particular environment. You got it?
Okay. So in the person class, we can create our objects and return a constructor, and that instance we can return from here. We can set the values there, default values for the database, and that can be created as an new instance here and send from here, right?
Exactly. So I think you have a slight confusion in the Spring IUC concept of bean creation. So the moment you are saying that at the rate of bean, it means what? A Spring will be creating the bean of this particular class and putting into their container. Now, whoever is interested to use this, for example, this controller is interested to use that person class. So what this guy will do, he will be actually doing that, something like that, person. It is doing some sort of person like this, and this guy is needing that person being created, so it is saying auto wired. Now what Spring application will do, since person object is created and it will be auto wiring, if you want to check that, whether this person object is created or not, you can simply print the person. Now you have a setters method inside that person. You do whatever you want. Person dot set method, whatever you want to get value. In real time, this person class might be having the lots of business logic. So this is how I told my Spring Boot application or Spring framework. You have to create a object of this person class. The way I told Spring framework is by help with the help of this at the rate of bean. So at the rate of bean is creating the object. Now this guy is going to return me the person object. But this new keyword is not your new keyword. It is a configuration of a Spring Boot. Spring framework is creating the person class object and putting into their container. Whoever is interested to get that person object, he have to do auto wire. Now, now Spring, what it will do, whenever you are doing auto wire, it will be checking, hey, is there any object of person created in my container? If yes, then wire that, auto wire that. And whoever is interested, they can keep using this person class object. So here, if I change to again dev, that will be only working because you remember I have checked, I have only did for dev. Okay, so I'm only for dev has been done. If I'm hitting this, then you will be able to see in the console the person class object is created. Any more doubt?
No. So if you go to this class, not this one, the profile db configuration.java.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, a few tags right in the beginning, in the
Few
top
tags. Yes.
annotations. So at the rate of configuration and the rate of configuration dot properties.
Right.
So is that the reason why it is loading by default?
Whichever class is at the rate of configuration, that class is going to be loaded first while starting your application itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because it
Okay.
makes sense also, right? Because all the bean which you need for your application is inside the class which is having at the rate of configuration.
Right. So that is the reason why our methods below are executing the bean, right?
Yeah, oh yes, that's the reason, because it's the at the rate of configuration file, and configuration is the entry point for any application. So first it is setting up what are the beans need for that. If it is not load this configuration and directly somebody is going to hit this controller method, and this controller method is using this person class object, what will be? He start getting the null pointer exception, right? So at the rate of configuration class is the first class from where your application is start.
Okay, and we have another tag below um, configuration property spring.data source, right?
Exactly. So this property is something in your properties file you have a key. So if you want, do not entertain the many key. You you just want the properties which is a start with this spring.data source. That only have to be loaded. Are you getting my
Can
point?
you come again?
Okay, hold on. So what does this annotation say? Do you know YAML file? Have you ever worked on
Yeah,
YAML file?
yeah.
Okay. So look at this properties file. It is having logging label. It is having email. It is having thread pool. It is also having some set of key which is starting with app, right? Are you getting?
Um,
These
yeah.
keys are starting with app. What I want in this properties file, I just want to load these properties, these key, which is starting with app. How can you do that? So for that purpose, this annotation is coming in picture. Look at this. So you are saying add the rate of configuration properties app. It means do not bother about the other key of that properties file. Whichever is starting with the app, I'm going to use only those properties. Similarly, in our application, when I will be start feeding this properties file, then it is having app.message. But whatever data source I'm gonna provide, what I'm gonna provide is will be something like this. Sorry, will be something like spring data source dot driver class. So the whichever is starting with app message, which is not starting with the spring data source, that will be not loaded in this configuration. So idea is something we are giving the root key from where you have to start scanning. What are the properties you have to scan?
Okay.
I hope
Okay.
it's clear,
Yeah,
or you want me to further discuss on this?
I understood. So right now, but we don't have anything with spring.data.
Exactly. It is not there, and that is the reason we are not using these properties. We are not having at the rate of value.
Okay.
So after that, you have to put at the rate of value and whatever key have specified there, spring dot data source dot something. In fact, you don't need to give complete path, because you are saying load all properties which is starting with the spring data source, and after that you can just give at the rate of driver class. That's my guess. I think that should work. You just have to give driver class.
Yeah.
Makes
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any more doubt? Any more question?
No, I'm good.
So let's move ahead. The next topic I want to discuss is actuator.
Kafka. What I didn't get you. What did you say?
Actuator. Have you heard about a spring actuator before?
No, no.
Okay. So when your application is running in production, you have to monitor many metrics. What are those metrics? Like how your performance is of that application, how many beans are created, how many memories are there, whether your memories are going to be full, how much heap memory is occupied. There's a lots of things you have to check. You have to check your health of your application. So a Spring Boot is coming with one uh, concept called actuator. So under actuator, you're gonna get lots of endpoints, and these endpoints is going to tell you the how you can monitor the status of your application. So for example, let's say you want to know at a certain point of time, like what is the environment, what are the active profile there, how many beans are there, what is the health of my application. There's a lots of things which you can do. Some of them I have given you like here, but there is a much more than this. Okay. And how we can achieve that? By adding again a very simple dependency called Spring Boot Starter hyphen actuator. Like DevTools, you have to add this one, Spring Boot Starter hyphen actuator. Now, this guy is also going to add one another server for you. It is another Tomcat server, I can say. By default, it is coming on the same port, whatever you have provided for your Tomcat. But if you want to change the port of your, if you want to change your port of your actuator server separate, there is another configuration called management.port. So if you give management.port, then this guy will be starting a new server for you. There you can look into the endpoints, the there's a many list, I can say there's a huge list for this actuator. But yeah, this is how you can monitor it. So if you look at my application, what I have did is under actuator, I have just added one additional plugin on the top of everything, the actuator. In application wise, I don't have anything here. There is no configuration, no code change for this particular application. I'm having just a simple application. Ignore this. This is for a var generation. It is not for actuator. In fact, and we have a welcome controller, which is again a very simple application. This is for what I can say, model view, MVC in Spring Boot. Instead of control REST controller, I have a controller. I will be talking about it in one of the application. But right now, ignore this. This is the custom logic, and since I want a var instead of jar, you can see this guy is going to generate a var. So since var is there, that is the reason you have to do some set of configuration, that is Spring Boot servlet initializer, and you have to override one of the configure method. But it is no way related to your actuator. Actuator demonstration is different than this set of configuration. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to run this application. But before that, let me show you the application.properties. Ignore all these things. The only thing you have to notice is management port I have changed to 9000. So the actuator server is going to run on the this port. So let me run it first. Okay, so you can see there's a two Tomcat started. One Tomcat is for this port, and one Tomcat is your application. So this application one is the logic which you have written in your controller. If I hit this particular message index, localhost, what is the port by the way? 8090. So if I go here, 8090 and then index, I'm getting this view along with my data. So that is the reason that is controller. But another port has been open at localhost 900. So this is the port for your actuator. Now you can start checking the all the health of your application. For example, I'm going to check ENV. ENV. Look at this. Currently in this application, there is no profile set. So you can see that profiles is empty. You can see server ports. We have a separate management ports. We have a separate server port. So these are the information sometimes really required for you to understand what are the dependencies has been added to your application. It is going to give you the complete bunch of libraries details, saying all this library is a part of your application. So sometimes you are facing a performance issue, you can easily trace this and you can check it out. Oh, why this particular WebSocket has been added? Do we really need this? No, let's exclude this. Similarly, you have a Java version which you are using. This all information you can trace it from here. You also have something called info. Let's see what this guy is going to do. It is going to give empty array. There is some set of configuration to get that as well. You have metrics. Let me see metrics. This is going to give you how much memory you have, how much free memory is there, what are the processor size, lots of information. And I'm pretty sure these information, even you know how much important it is to know for a production environment. So actuator is one of the features I want to show you. Let's say you want to know that how many beans has been created for this particular application. Look at this, how many beans are created. So you can easily see that these beans are not required for me. So let's exclude those. But how to get this? With the help of actuator. So what changes I did in my application? Just added the dependencies. And if you want this port to be separate, then you can do management dot port equal to whatever you want.